word of advice that I was given when I started was like, expect to give up 2 to 3 years, the first 2 to 3 years of your life in real estate. If you're truly dedicated, because real estate isn't over on the weekends. It's actually busier, right?
Yeah.
Or evenings when you want to be at home, or not necessarily holidays, because most people do respect that.
Yeah.
Welcome to Agent Success Podcast. If you're a real estate agent looking to succeed in today's crazy market, well, you're in the right place. Each week, we talk with successful real estate agents willing to share their expert insights, trade secrets, and mindset that help them to succeed. There's no fluff, just straight to the point content that prioritizes one thing above all, your success. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase.
Welcome to another episode of AgentSuccessPodcast.com. I'm your host, Tim Chase, and I have a very special guest with me today, somebody who is crushing it in real estate. She says that she's not, but she actually is crushing it in real estate.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep. My name is Kim Bourgois with the Bougie Group at Springs Home Finders.
Okay. And how long have you been doing real estate?
For a little over 7 years.
7 years. Okay. So you started...
7.
Yeah, pre-COVID, obviously.
Yes, pre-COVID.
And rates were pretty decent, right? Rates were decent. The housing market was, I would almost say stable.
Very.
So you got buyers, you got sellers, but it wasn't like bananas sellers or bananas buyers. Like in 2008, 9, 10, the totally insane buyer's market, and then 2020, 21, insane seller's market, right? So it was nice, stable.
Yes.
Rates were good.
Rates were good.
Yeah,
People were buying, people were selling. It was consistent.
Right. And then the government made up a virus and got everybody sick, and then that created a lot of chaos. Did that change your business?
Tremendously.
Okay, how did that change your business?
I had always stayed very consistent, and for the first 2 or 3 weeks, it was pretty much dead, I think, because everybody was so scared of what was happening.
Well, you weren't even allowed to go in houses at the time.
You weren't allowed to go into houses. Yeah. You weren't really allowed to go anywhere, right? So we were very nervous of what this was going to look like. And at the time I was on a team, and we did power ups every day. And we just stayed really focused. We stayed in touch with previous clients. And then I would say within 30 days, I was so incredibly busy. I never had a moment to stop. I was literally leaving my house at 8 a.m. and coming home at almost 10 p.m.
As soon as the government released their tyrannical hold on the real estate industry and let you go into houses.
No.
Oh,
So,
you got busy before that.
Yes.
Okay. Before you were, what did they call it? Critical or crucial, or you were an important industry.
We weren't important. No.
Okay. Not yet. Okay.
So we were
DoorDash,
writing
important.
offers without going in the home, and then we had 24 hours to get in the home after our offer was accepted.
When people would leave,
then they could
go
see
in.
the home, they had to accept our offer.
Oh, okay.
Then they could get in within, say, 24, 48 hours.
Okay.
And then if they saw the home and they didn't like it, they could terminate.
That's a hassle.
It was.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you didn't really have a lot of it because suddenly this market was insane.
Yeah.
And people were
interest
doing
rates go
it.
crazy, and the house prices were still really good at the beginning of that, right? So house prices
and affordable.
You're like a $350,000 house and a 2.5% interest rate.
Correct.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden that same house is a $600,000 or $550,000 house and a 6.5% interest rate. So you've gone way
Which changes
up.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even without being able to go on the house, we were still up against multiple offers, and it wasn't super crazy until a good few months into it. I mean, we were up against 5 or 6, and then there were times where agents were like, we have spreadsheets with over 60 offers. And these are homes that people weren't even seeing.
And waiving appraisals.
Doing appraisal gaps.
Yeah.
Worst
we'll
thing,
do a
I think,
$100,000
ever,
appraisal gap, and
which is just not smart.
Yeah.
I don't think. I'm glad that I don't think I ever did one in that market.
Yeah.
And no
as a mortgage company, we saw them a lot. A lot of them.
And those people are probably really angry right now.
At least they got a good rate, though, right? So.
I mean, I guess, but if they have to move, their house isn't worth anything, and they are negative equity.
Yeah.
And there, unfortunately, weren't conversations. I think people just were so excited and wanted a home, needed a home, wanted to lock in at that rate. and made some not smart
It was
decisions.
it's almost like everybody got super pumped up and super excited, and then it's like a whirlwind of like, I'm going to miss out if I don't buy a house now.
Correct.
You know, it's like Warren Buffett when everybody's you know, afraid, be aggressive. When everybody's aggressive, step back.
Yeah.
Right. And what does he say about the shore? You know, all like high tide raises all boats. You know what I mean? High water raises all boats. But then when the water recedes, you see who's swimming naked. So you know,
We have a lot of those.
yeah,
right
eventually
now.
that happens. So tell me this: when you come out of COVID, because we all know that was bananas, right? It was just bananas. Everybody went crazy. People who weren't in real estate, they were, I don't know, maybe they're panhandlers or whatever their previous occupation was. They became real estate agents and made money really quick, right? Because there was so. Like it's such a huge demand for it.
Yes, there was just sales all the time.
But then, like we said, when the water recedes, who's swimming naked, and you don't have a plan, you're like, oh, I just thought this is how real estate always works, right? So I've seen a lot of it took a couple years really of like some weird like who's doing volume and who's not, but that all kind of has kind of I feel like it's kind of normalized a little bit.
I think so too.
Getting back to the people who know how to do business.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of like following up with your previous clients, staying in touch, lead genning every day, calling expireds, canceled, foreclosures every 3 days a week.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's just so everybody understands though, you list more than one house a year.
Right now I have 9.
You have 9 right now.
And I have 4 more coming.
And how many have you had this year so far?
I want to say that I've closed 13, but it could be a little bit more than that.
Okay.
I don't honestly keep track of
so
my numbers.
we're a total of low 20s at this point, right?
Probably,
with the
yeah.
ones. Okay. Mm-hmm. And yet you still do lead gen.
Yes.
Because usually people they're like, I got a listing. Time to go out and spend that money.
I mean, if it doesn't close, like you always have to work for that next deal. And I think that is the problem, is that people didn't really have to lead gen through COVID. And, you know, on the first team that I was with, I learned a lot of things that I needed to do to be a successful real estate agent. And that was just ingrained in us that we needed to lead gen. We needed to stay in touch with our clients. And we needed to do, which was like pop buys, and just really know the market. And so, I mean, I still lead gen 3 days a week. I do my pop buys every 3 months. We still host events. I still close clients from when I very first started real estate. I still get referrals from all of them. I have been in the room of my clients giving birth. I am so consistent, and I think every one of my clients would tell you that they are my best friend. I love all of them. I stay in touch with them, not even just for business, but like what do they need, or if their kids have a birthday. It's so important to build a relationship and not just be transactional.
Stalking them on Facebook like a
Always.
crazy girl? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. That way you stay in touch with them, right?
Right.
Yeah. But like you say, being relational, not transactional.
Yes.
Right? So there's a quote that we were using in our office because business has slowed down for a lot of people, but it was crazy. It was super busy. So a lot of agents had slowed down. And what we say is when the market gets tough, get less automated and get more personal. Like quit sending your AI-driven SMSs and voice blasts, and instead actually call and say, "Hey Kim, how are things going?" Like I want to.
Well, I would be good because I don't have a CRM, so I don't have those things to do that.
Yeah,
I'm my CRM.
Yeah,
and it's worked for me.
Yeah.
My clients wouldn't even know what an automated text would look like because it's always very personable. If they're sick, I bring them something or I check on them.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody passed away, like you always check on them. And what I've learned is that has been a huge part of my success is because you have to show that you really care. You're not in it to just close the deal. And a lot of agents close the deal and they never talk to that client again.
Of a large majority.
A large majority. Yeah. And I think I could look back at all of my transactions and confidently say probably more than 75% of my clients have still come back and they send me referrals.
The only way to do that is deliver a great experience and then have follow-up after closing. right?
Correct. And, when they need something, like they just moved here, we have a lot of military, right?
Yeah.
So they don't know where to get their car fixed. They don't know
Oh,
who to
yeah,
call
yeah.
for HVAC. They don't know who to call for plumbing. Like, that's why we build relationships with people so that we can share that information
And
make
be able to
ourselves
actually-
continue to be valuable.
Well, and that's the thing I think a lot of agents miss out on is, am I adding value, right? Am I adding
Right.
value at all times? So little things like annual for your property taxes, okay? And every odd year, they're reassessing your taxes. So in that, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to tell everybody, let me help you get a real value of your house, and maybe we need to contest that value. And a lot of it's so easy, it's so basic, it's so simple, and a lot of agents don't do that, but that's a value add. Calling them on their birthday, value add, right? Or giving them a call and letting them know something's happening in the market, whatever it is. I have an insurance agent that anytime there's any sort of like major hailstorm or anything like that, he doesn't wait to be called with claims. He makes it a point. That's a part of his marketing. He calls all of his clients, hey, I know your house was just outside of the area. I just want to see, is everything okay? Did you guys get, even though he knows it's not, but it builds that, oh, wow, like, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
He
Thank
took
you.
the time to
You
call.
know me.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. A little bit different approach, right? Little personalized approach.
Yes.
How long have you lived in Colorado Springs?
My whole life.
You've never
Since
moved out of Springs?
I have not. I'm scared to do that. I dream about it.
Where would you move if you could?
Probably somewhere down south.
Yeah.
Georgia, Alabama, the
yeah.
green, water.
You like alligators
cheaper,
and moonshine?
Much cheaper.
I was watching a show last night about this guy. He says he's a homesteader, but really he's a geological engineer, and so he builds sustainable housing and does it just through his training, and it's kind of awesome the way he does it. But he said that he was looking to buy anywhere in the United States. Didn't care. He just needed a couple hundred acres to start his projects like 15 years ago, and that's where he ended up buying. Is down south down there because he's like
It's so
I get rainfall, so all of my crops, my orchard, everything continues to grow. My goats eat, my cows eat. I just move them from field to field, and he's like, and I got it's so much cheaper than other places in the United States.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would, but I probably won't.
So you grew up in Colorado Springs.
On Fort Carson.
On Fort Carson. You grew up on base.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That was exciting.
Yeah.
So you used to show your ID to get home?
We moved off base when I was 8.
Okay.
But we still went on base,
Okay.
For the hospital and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we got to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Got to check in.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
do all
it was
that.
a lot different then, though, because I remember sitting on my dad's lap through the gate at one point when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's not happening now.
No. Yeah, we like
So-
seatbelts now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they're a
there's
little more.
rules.
They're a little more particular.
Yeah.
A little more particular now, especially after 9/11, all that. So when did you start real estate then?
About 7 years ago.
Okay, I asked that.
Yes.
So you started 7 years ago, and you were so you're in Colorado Springs. You start your real estate career. Do you feel like that gave you the advantage, though, being kind of native to the area?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You just know everything, right? You
Yeah.
know the north side of the Springs, the south side of the Springs, the east side, the west side, which is great for people that don't know anything when they're moving here. You really are like a dictionary for them, and that's super important.
And then you can be like, "Hey, look, my ex-boyfriend used to live in that road. We do not buy houses on that road."
I can't say that, but
Let's just say
twice.
somebody almost got murdered on that road once.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. I just know that crime can be high
Yeah.
in certain situations. So what about, that's area, but what about individuals? So you grow up in Springs, and I guess the network is what I'm looking at. Did that give you a huge advantage network-wise? Not people just moving here, but
so
their
before
high school
real
friends
estate,
or family friends?
So I actually got my GED, and I worked at a high school. I worked in Falcon,
Okay.
at the school districts for 13 years.
Oh, okay.
And that did land up paying off later on in my career. But anybody that knows me knows that like I don't meet a stranger and I love everybody. Like I'm a hugger. I'm going to hug you all the time. And when I joined real estate, it was like you just really have to like live and breathe real estate, right?
Yeah.
So I would be at a restaurant, and if I heard you talking about a house, I'm going to come, and I'll still do it. I mean, I live in Falcon, and Jack's and the Purple Toad, right, are just right next to each other. And just from one night out, I closed like 6 deals.
Holy
just
smokes.
from one person through different transactions.
Oh, wow.
Like,
holy cow.
So
Wow.
I literally, if I hear you
But
speak
if
real
it's in,
estate,
yeah. I was at a
So-
stoplight the other day, and I had my windows down, and these people are on this motorcycle. It's like a crotch rocket. They're like hugging each other, basically laying on top of each other, holding on for dear life, and they're yelling at each other about buying a house. Hey, so what about the house? Oh yeah, we're gonna go look. And I was like, oh, how do I get their attention? It's like they're wearing
you
helmets.
should have put in park, got out, and said, "Excuse
Should've
me."
just pulled in front of them and
Yeah.
stopped right there, and then but,
Exactly.
yeah. I missed the opportunity in that situation,
Yeah.
but yeah. So you did high school beforehand. Now I asked you what questions to not ask you, and those are the ones I'm going to ask you. Okay.
Okay.
You told me to not ask about the number one mistake that new agents make because it's too personal for you.
I think the number one mistake new agents make is that they really don't realize how much work has to be put into it and time.
It's not
like you just join real estate today and you get paid in 30 days. Like when I joined real estate, I was told like you have to have 6 to 8 months reserves to pay your bills.
And you're like, holy
because
crap.
this is a process. And
Yeah.
I came from working at a school district, so I didn't have 6 to 8 months reserves.
And every 2 weeks you got paid on the 15th and on the 30th. It was like clockwork, and now
I got paid
it's not.
once a month.
Once a month, okay.
$1,580 after taxes and para.
Yeah, and you still
So-
remember that. Yeah.
But it was security, right?
Yeah.
I had insurance, I had retirement. Like
You're
I just
like,
knew
yes.
what it was.
I know that
And I
Para's
was very
there,
comfortable with
and-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't really save a lot. I mean, I had 4 kids.
Yeah.
And then when I did real estate, I had just recently been with my current husband, and he also worked at a school district for
Okay.
District 20. So there wasn't like money rolling in to be saving 6 to 8 months. And so he's just like, do it. So I took out the little bit of para that I had,
Yeah.
which gave me that cushion, and I hustled. Like the
So
team I
you
was
use the
on-
para for survival.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
And for anybody listening who doesn't know, Para's like a state-run retirement
Yes.
fund,
Yes.
basically.
Yep. And I joined a bigger team because they could provide leads.
Okay.
And after speaking to a couple other people, it just turned out to be what was best for my situation at
Yeah.
the time, which is
Okay.
a huge factor in my success today. And so anytime there was a lead, I was like, I'll take it. I don't care what time it was. If anyone went out of town, I'm like, I will help your client. If there was anything I could do real estate related, I did it. And then one of the owners was like, hey, you can come to some of my listing appointments with me. Just look at my calendar and you can learn from me. Well, I mean, they're a very successful team. So,
Yeah.
okay. But then I actually would get in trouble because there were other agents that also had to learn. And here I was like showing up to every single listing appointment
he
there was.
opened the door.
That's what I said. And so
You should
then
have
it
told
was
me I
like,
could go
okay,
to 2 a month. I would have
Yeah.
gone to 2 a month, but you
have
said
to
I
share.
could go. Yeah.
And so I did everything they told me to do. And that just made such a big difference.
That's a huge difference in new real estate agents, I think, that win and that don't. And
They don't want to put the time in. It's like you have to be super self-motivated in real estate. You have to
well,
get up like it's a job
and actually have a plan and
go
work
exactly
every day. You said
And
that you prospect 3 days a week, right?
Yes.
And how many even new agents don't
They
do
won't.
that? It's crazy. They're like they look at their phone and they're like, the phone might kill me.
Right.
I don't know what's going to
It's
happen.
very
but yeah.
intimidating to call, and it's
Yeah.
super uncomfortable if you're not used to sales.
I was going to say
was very
it can in the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
once you get going and it becomes just a thing, and you realize that, Mary homeowner on the other side of town, she doesn't care that I called, and
Right.
like she's on to her breakfast toast at
Yeah.
this point. She doesn't care, and I'm over here still stewing on it for half a day. Like, oh geez,
Yeah.
I probably made a fool of myself, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
like it just doesn't.
So I think that the number one mistake they make is not listening to the people that know what they're doing and taking that advice and doing it. Like they're successful for a reason.
Yeah. Well, somebody gave you really good advice in the beginning if they told you to go somewhere that can help you with leads. That's massive.
It is massive. And I tell every new agent that I talk to, this is what I would recommend. I don't offer those because I'm 100% referral based plus my lead gen, right? I'm not going to pay for leads, but if you have a really good relationship and you can follow up and stay on top of things, like you'll get referral after referral after referral. And these bigger teams that can afford to pay insane amount of money for leads is a great way to start your business.
Yeah. Go work there for a few years. And quite honestly, you could make a career out of working on someone's team because when they're willing to invest, and this is a huge thing in real estate that I think is overlooked a lot. If somebody's willing to invest that level of money in you, it's like they're going to go on a business joint venture with you. They're buying leads. They're on the hook for it. And they're just assuming you're going to do your job as a real estate agent and make the follow-up calls. I was watching yesterday, there was a gentleman doing, they did secret shoppers all across the country. Like I think it's kind of a little bit questionable how they did it, but they went through to real estate agents and just did all these secret shoppers. And they said that there was two things they noticed. Number one, there was no rhyme or reason to the experience. They like they could call agents at the same company. It's just total crap show, right? Like you never know what you're going to get. And they said that the follow-up, it was ridiculous. Like I'm trying to remember. It was something like 47% of them had maybe one follow-up. And the rest had none.
And you're supposed to follow up 10 times in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the rest had no follow-up.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's their biggest failure,
it's crazy.
too. It's just like, again, it's not right now, so nobody wants to call. And I mean, I've closed leads that I've stayed in touch with for 4 years.
Yeah. In fact, we just worked one yesterday. It was 2 years ago. We helped somebody. We guided them, counseled them, and, you do the best you can at the time, and they come back.
Yep.
They come back over time. But I think you as a new agent going that direction, if you're, and here's the way I look at going on to a new team is your team has to have structure, right? So that team has to say, here's how we do our follow-up. Here's how we, when we reach out to our leads, here's the structure of our follow-up on the leads. And that lead is gold, right? Like it's just, that's all there is to it. Like when somebody reaches out to you, that's everything you've been working for is that opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So you look at it like, football players. They work, they're 24 years old. They're finally, a shot at the NFL. They practice, 7 days a week for years and years. And ever since they were a little kid, that's all. And then they get put in the game to get a shot. And if they're like, I don't really like to cover wide receivers very much, so I'm more of a observer kind of person. What are you doing out here? Like this is your shot. And every lead you get is a shot to start, right?
Correct.
That every single lead. And if you were on a team that taught you this is how we do it, then now you're like, okay, this is how we do it, right? And this is a lot of times why teams don't hire seasoned agents because they come with a lot of stuff.
Right.
Like, well, I don't know, Kim. I don't really feel like following up. And I called and left a message. It's fine.
Right.
We'll hear from him later. You're like,
yeah,
not going to happen.
I would see new agents and I tell them now it's so frustrating for me because I'm just like, you have to just call, you have to text, you have to send them emails. I will go to your house, whatever I have to do.
And you said that you're prospecting 3 days a week. Do you have other tasks split out throughout the week that you do on certain days?
So I will make phone calls and then ones that I'm really confident in and I'll run comps and I'll take over a brochure. Okay. I'll catch them on their porch. I do have a couple future listings coming right after January from my lead generation. I've closed several of it. So I'm constantly, it depends on the day, right? And what the situation is. Because expireds you handle differently than canceled. And you have to have a whole presentation. You always have to be ready to have a conversation with them. So I pretty much 5 days a week am always doing lead gen.
Doing that. That's amazing. And a lot of the agents...
And you also have to, didn't mean to interrupt you, not forget your previous clients.
Yeah, so you have to have that follow-up. So
you also have to put that in there as well.
Do you have a specific follow-up for past clients?
I do. So I do pop buys every 3 months, just
Right.
based off of like the season.
But do you have like so you do your pop buys, but do you have like an annual review that people do, or
I don't.
birthday, or everybody has their own way. So that's why I'm very
I
curious
don't.
on how you
I
do
just stop by every 3 months. Like, and if we
it. On
host
every client.
yes,
Okay.
if they're here.
Okay.
If they're gone, then no. But
You're not
I have a
driving to
good
Georgia.
majority that are still here. And then a lot of our events are family based. So like I
Okay.
know if they're not going to come with their kids, then I will bring them something else.
Oh.
But I am so consistent that they know when that thing is left on the porch that it's from me.
Yeah.
There's always like a handwritten
Well, we
note.
just got a apple pie. I'm glad
Yeah.
Kim popped by.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, I mean, they do, but they just know. There's no
Yeah.
question. And I always tell them when we close, like, you're stuck with me forever unless, gosh forbid, something happens
Yeah.
to you or you move really far away. I'm going to be in your life forever. And
Yeah.
I don't think they truly believe it until it starts
You
happening.
have no idea.
I mean, I babysit for my clients' kids.
Oh wow.
I mean, I'm really dedicated.
Yeah. That's
realtor.
well that shows why at this point you're up to 20 some odd listings for the year, right? That because you're invested in it. And I think having a plan and waking up in the morning and saying, I have to work today.
Right.
I don't have to, I mean, and when you're at the house, I don't have to do the laundry, answer the door, do the dishes, do this. It's like, well,
And that's why it's so important for me personally to go into the office.
Yeah.
Because it has to feel like a work day.
Do you go every day, or how often do you go to the
When I
office?
lead gen, I do.
Okay.
I go every day. I have an office right
Nice.
off of Woodman and I-25. If have already planned my pop buys, then I'll just take that from my house and then
Okay.
just go in my car. And, I know where I have a whole list of the addresses from the expireds and canceleds I'm going to go to. I have my flyers and my pamphlets ready.
So the expired and canceled, these are ones you've already called? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like,
and
so,
those are the ones you're going to...
So Monday, if I called, and I'll do through the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then Tuesday, I'm going to go drop off flyers to X amount.
Okay.
Then Wednesday, I'm going to lead gen for Tuesday because I wasn't on the phone Tuesday.
Oh,
Then
wow.
Thursday, I'm going to go drop off flyers. And then Friday, I'm going to call. And then Monday, just start
Yeah,
over
yeah.
every week.
So does your... do you have an assistant?
I don't.
You just
It's
get
just
in and
me.
hustle. Yeah, just get in and hustle.
I do have a great mother-in-law that goes with me.
Okay.
Luckily, she's retired and she has lots of energy because she's young. But no, I mean, I just go because
Yeah.
an assistant costs money.
They do. Yeah,
And what if someone wants to have that conversation?
yeah.
They don't know what to say.
Yeah, and they're not licensed to a lot of
Right.
times have that type of conversation.
Right.
I think daily dedication is a huge part that realtors miss out. I hope a lot of new agents listen to this because that's really it's like legitimate work. So then the question is, what would you tell an agent if they said they're new and they said, Kim, I'm willing to outwork everybody, but I don't know what to do today?
I would tell them to get on their social media. I would tell them to get on their MLSs. I would tell them to go drop off the flyers, have conversations with everybody. You have a phone book of people that you know,
Yeah.
right? But nobody wants to call them.
Yeah.
Make a quick video and just, even though them, reintroduce yourself as to what you're doing. It does take a second because I think everybody's scared to use the new agent, right? But new agents have somebody above them to help them out, right? There's
If they're-
always knowledge there.
Especially if they're like, if you joined a company, a team, they're
Correct.
working with Kim or whatever it is, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I have somebody they're going to review the contracts, they're going to do this, they're going to
Right.
do that.
And if you're confident, they're confident in you.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be confident in yourself and present yourself that you know what you're doing and it will come. But I think the other thing I would tell them is like be consistent with your follow-up, be consistent with your social media, be consistent with your lead generation. It will pay off. But
Yeah.
the thing is it always falls off. Like
Yeah.
when you don't see
Will
that
it fall off
reward.
before it pays off?
Correct.
Yeah. So you need to stick with it and keep doing it.
Yes.
And there is there is something about consistency, and it's I think it was a Mike Tyson interview I was watching a long time ago where he was fighting this guy, and they're talking to him about it years later, and they're like, man, you were like just pummeling the guy, and he's like, he wouldn't give up, like he's like he just wouldn't
Right.
give up. And when he was talking to him, he's like, or when they were doing the interview with him, he's like, at the very end of the interview, he just said one little clip that stuck with me. He's like, hey, I was a way better boxer. I was everything. He's like, but it's hard to beat somebody who's not going to give up. I was like, huh. Okay. Because a lot of these other dudes that are super fit and they're like, and they're like, okay, you're
I'm done.
And this guy's like, you don't know when to quit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you need to, like, stop. Well, no, if you're an agent, you just keep going. Like, it's.
And another word of advice that I was given when I started was like, expect to give up 2 to 3 years, the first 2 to 3 years of your life in real estate. If you're truly dedicated, because real estate isn't over on the weekends. It's actually busier, right?
Yeah.
Or evenings when you want to be at home, or not necessarily holidays, because most people do respect that.
Yeah.
And that was something that also I ran with, because there were so many people that would call me and they're like, well, we tried to call so-and-so. They're not working today. And I'm like, I will be there in 15 minutes.
Yeah. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I can stay for 20. I'm
Because
coming
if
back
you're
for
motivated or you and responding, you have to respond to people quickly.
Well, and that was with that interview that I was watching, or that secret shopper thing that the guy was talking about. That was the big thing. Was it's just there was no urgency. Or maybe urgency is the wrong word, but there was no real dedication and appreciation and respect for that lead, right? Like, it wasn't like, this is my shot. This is my, well, no. It'll ring again later. It's fine, right? And I just see a lot of agents, like, I leave a lot of messages with agents.
You know, I would love to start a business where I just literally called for these big companies like Treasure Davis or Angela Few, like that I know have a ton probably of leads just sitting there, and give them 50%, and I will call them all day, every single day for 10 hours a day, because it's millions of dollars just sitting there waiting for somebody to do something.
You know, I did that once. It had to be 15 years ago. And I worked for a guy that was generating leads. That's when Zillow was first getting going, right? And it was like, some people still didn't even know what it was, but it's almost like Facebook ads, or not ads, but like Facebook targeted ads in the beginning. You could get crazy detailed, like before they made all the rules, and this probably isn't good. I mean, I could say, I want men that make this much money that are 5'11", and like almost like a dating profile. I want this. And they're in this neighborhood, and they've been owned this house for this long, like, and then they toned all that back. But on the Zillow thing, it was kind of the same. It was like kind of wild, like we're like getting a lot of calls, like what the heck. Then they kind of slowed down, and I was talking to the guy who owned the company at the time, and I said, hey, can I go through all of your old leads? He's like, what do you mean? I was like just because he had a CRM system. Can you just assign me all of them? That nobody, like anybody who hasn't been called in 2 months or older, like for the last year and a half, and I'm just gonna pound through. He's like, you're gonna call all of them. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, there's loans in there, dude. There's definitely loans in there, and sure enough, we got loans out of it. And then I started thinking about that later. I was like, there's like 15 loan officers here. Why is nobody like?
I know,
driving like that? It's crazy.
I might just call them on Monday.
Yeah, well, watch
that's
out.
all I see. It's just money sitting there.
It is. It's a little bit interesting. If you have never had to invest in the lead, then I feel like maybe you don't have an appreciation for that lead. Right now, if you've ever gone through and you're like, okay, I'm going to work my tail off to get these leads, and I'm going to know what gold this is, or I'm going to spend money on this lead system or on this CRM system, you know what it's worth. Like it's a huge value to you.
It is.
And somebody else walks in, and is it of any value to them? Is welfare of any value to somebody who's just
right?
Give me a few more bucks.
It's not coming out of their pocket.
Yeah, give me a few more bucks. But sometimes that
what
pain.
blows my mind is I'm like, there's probably one agent, if they went to those people, there's probably a good 6 figures just waiting for them.
I have multiple teams right now that I communicate with a lot of different agents. I have multiple teams right now that they have a hard time finding agents willing to do exactly what you're saying
if they need it.
Like it's crazy. I mean, they have people that come in and they get super busy, like right away, and then it's kind of like 9 hours a day. You want to build a career, right? Now, I mean, think about it: 9 hours a day, and let's say it's 5 days a week. That is so little commitment compared to any time in history. The amount of commitment and time. You're like, okay, honey, I got to leave the ranch for about 6 to 7 months. I hope I come back with some money. like,
Right.
and it's going to be hard. I might lose a limb on the way. I'm definitely getting pneumonia at some point, right? But I'm coming back, and I really hope we got this. In the meantime, I need you to take care of the ranch, the kids, everything else. And now we're like, Kim, we need this guy to make 17 phone calls in the next hour. Oh, my gosh.
Right.
Oh, jeez. But I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, not today.
Self-care does not involve me making phone calls. It's kind of a funny thing, right? Because maybe it's just how you're brought up in the business. Maybe that's how you learn, or maybe it's through mistakes. Maybe it's through pain. Maybe it's through necessity.
I think it's really just how motivated are you, or how bad do you really want the things that you say? You know what I mean? How bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Do you like the feeling of just like, oh yeah, someday, or do you actually see that, and can you visualize that properly and know that I'm going there?
Right.
It's like if I decide that I'm going to Chipotle for lunch, I'm walking the whole way. Like, I'm not getting halfway and be like, where's the Chipotle?
Right.
This is some crap. I'm walking the whole way because I know that's the destination, right? And it's possible that there's a homeless person sleeping on the sidewalk. I may have to detour slightly to go around that person.
But I'm still going.
I'm still going,
Yeah.
right? There may be a traffic accident or a cop but I'm still getting there.
Yes.
I still know the destination,
Yeah.
right? So how bad do you want Chipotle? Really,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to.
I agree.
From now on, what I'm gonna say is, how bad you want Chipotle? Chipotle's
I
for
don't
closers.
like Chipotle's.
Have you had illegal Pete's?
No.
I know it sounds questionable in today's modern world, but it's delicious. It's like
I'll have to try
Chipotle
it.
that's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'll have to
if you
try it.
like that stuff. I don't know. Maybe you don't like that stuff, but
I
let me
do,
ask you
but
this.
I got food poisoning once
At Chipotle.
a year and a half ago, and I haven't been back.
Did it okay? They had this thing for a while where it was like, okay, we're not serving lettuce for like 2 months and then we're not doing cheese for like a month, and like so they had all these weird, like you couldn't get certain things. I'm like, just wash the lettuce. What's it like I don't know. You can have some sort of industrial washing machine or something. I don't know, lettuce washer. Not sure exactly. Hey, I had a couple more questions I want to ask you. Closing gifts. Do you do closing gifts?
I do.
Do you do them at closing or after closing?
It depends. So I have a really great transaction coordinator who helps me, and she sends out a questionnaire of like birthdays, favorite colors, what do they need for their
Holy
new
smokes.
home, all this great stuff. So I have a really good idea of things that they're looking for their home, and then I customize it to that.
What a great idea.
And so then I'll like a lot of times leave it in the house so it's there for them when they come to do their final walkthrough.
Oh.
Or I have a family that's moving here from Arizona, and so I bought them tickets to like Cave of the Winds for experiences, so they could get to know.
You show up here
the
and
area.
you do a couple things. You hit the top of Pikes
Right.
Peak and you do some zip lining and this
Yeah.
and that, and you feel like we know the area a little bit.
Yeah, and they got to have some fun. So
And then when their family comes up and visit, they know what they want to do.
Yep.
When do you have your TC send that? Is it in the middle of the transaction, at the end, at the beginning?
near the end.
Towards the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
And is it just an email?
Yes.
Okay. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
like that.
helpful.
Yeah.
Because then you know their kids' birthdays, their anniversary,
Oh.
their favorite color, what
Look
they
at
like,
that.
what
You
they
have a
like to
gift
drink, what they
basket.
like to eat.
Exactly the food and color that you like.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's weird.
And everybody loves it.
Yeah.
They're not like, I don't need this.
Like I don't like exactly what you have
Exactly.
there. Yeah. So closing gifts. That's. I hear different opinions on that. Some people say I always, I show up with a homemade awesome thing, or other people say I don't do it until after closing. So it's a really good personalized idea that you
Yeah.
have there. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Does she do that just for you, or does she do that for other agents?
She
too?
does it for other agents too.
Oh,
She's
okay.
amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. You want to give her a shout out on here?
Sure. Zayla Crosby with Real Estate Liaison. She takes very good care of us.
Okay.
So.
And but she charges everybody else double because you don't want her to get overwhelmed with too much
Right,
business.
right.
So everybody else, it's going to be double moving forward from today. But yeah.
Yeah, she's helpful.
This is going to be an interesting question. Let's see, how do I want to phrase it? If you were a loan officer, okay? You're like, oh please, it's not going to happen. That's like saying, Tim, if you were a professional basketball player.
Right.
I can't even, like, it's not even there, right? So if you were a loan officer,
Okay.
what would you do different than what current loan officers do for your business? Like, you're the loan officer.
I could tell you that very easily.
Well, that didn't take long. Let's hear it.
When I first started, I felt like loan officers showed up to the closings, which was really nice. Now they don't, at least the ones that I've worked with. So I guess I shouldn't generalize, but
You're working
more
with
of them don't.
Yeah, lazy.
They used to also bring a closing gift or something. They don't. Again, just the ones that I've worked with don't. And communication, I think, and I don't know if loan officers would have a reason to fall, but I would think so with like all the opportunities to refi and stuff like that. But I think they should also be more personable and maybe not so transactional through it.
Yeah.
And I really think that they should spend also more time getting to know their clients.
You know, a couple things on that.
Like, that's what I would do.
First off, work with better loan officers. Second off, I think loan officers, number one, it gets really easy to not go to closings, specifically when you are a little bit busy, right? It's really easy. It's like, I did my thing. I called them ahead of time, everything's good. Don't worry about it, Kim. We're all good.
Yep.
But I've always looked at the closing as that is the celebration. That is the success. That is all, no matter if it was a difficult, you had appraisal issues, inspections, all the crazy stuff that took place. Right here, you're going to meet face to face, and it's all going to be good. And you're going to walk out of here, you're going to get referrals, you're going to follow up with them, you're going to do all these things that Kim says you should be doing.
And I'm surprised they don't, because like, you're the biggest part of why they have this house.
We're going to get you $500,000 in 3 weeks.
Come and ask for those referrals. Like, do you ask for referrals throughout your transaction at least 3 times?
I like asking for referrals.
How often do you ask for them?
I would say, well, we have an interesting way of doing it.
Okay.
I fail at it sometimes. Okay, but here's the way.
You're a coach.
I know, right? Yeah, here I'm coaching you. So here's the way that I would that I say that we do it when we do good at it. Is I like to ask people in a way that isn't like I don't want to say the word buffini, but I'm going to say it. It's like, I'm never too busy for your referrals. I don't go that approach, right? Instead, I would say something like, I'd make the call and say, hey, let me just ask you really quickly, if you knew somebody that was looking to buy a house or refinance, would you feel comfortable referring me to them? So I take that slightly different approach, and and what it is, it's almost like a little bit of a different commitment, right? So we're like, well, yeah, of course, and I've never had anybody tell me no, because that would be
rude.
Well, that's rude. Did you know who come on, what are you doing? But I have found, and maybe it's my own comfort level, but I don't like when someone pins me down like that. Like their sales trainers do this a lot, and where they're like, Tim, if I could just get 5 names of people that you think could really benefit from that doesn't work for me, because it's like the biggest enemy to a salesperson is another salesperson. So I'm like, bro, step back, right?
Yeah.
Like don't give me that. It may work for most public, I don't know. So I think how would I like to be approached on this? And I have found it to be, hey, if I'm doing a really good job, and somebody looking to buy a house or refinance the house, would you feel comfortable?
So like after closing, do you follow up with them and you're like, are you loving your new house? Or right now with interest rates dropping, like I see that your interest rates have dropped. Like, how many lenders really truly call, right?
I think, how many calls did we make in the last 2 weeks?
No, I know. I think that's great. But a lot of people I don't think do that. And that's where they drop the ball, because you're building a great relationship.
Look, it's so hard to get a client. It's a lot easier to keep a client. And that's something that we try. Like, it's much easier to reach out to them and call them on their birthday. It's much easier to call them. And I made last week, I don't know, 25, 30 calls, right, to past clients, 20 something calls. And even people that I knew weren't probably in the best position, I know that the media like 2 weeks ago was saying, hey, rates are down. And this is I said this to our team for like 2 weeks in a row. Like, somebody's going to call them, right? Somebody's calling them, and you know that it's not the best position for them to refinance. It's going to cost them, $3,000 or $4,000 in title and appraisal and all the other junk that goes in there. It's probably not worth it, and they're going to be moving in 2 years, but it doesn't matter because they're hearing it from somewhere else. You pick up the phone and you call. Hey, I was just checking in. I'm sure you've heard interest rates have really dropped. We're just doing a check-in with all of our clients. We want to see how we can, see if we can answer any questions. I did a lot of pre-approvals or reviews this last couple weeks that didn't go anywhere. I knew they weren't going to go anywhere, but at the same time, the client found value in that. Now, when somebody else is going to call them, they're not getting lied to. I'm refinancing one that we give the quote, and she's like, I don't know. The other place said there's no fees. I was like, no, it costs money to, your appraisal isn't free.
Right.
They're not free. Your title work is not free. There are fees.
Yeah.
They may be wrapped into the loan, or into the rate, but there are definitely fees on there. And she was going very adamant that no, they said that there's no fees. Well, as we discovered it, really probably what they said is there's no out-of-pocket fees.
Right.
Right. So
because they just wrap it.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. There's no out-of-pocket fees, but that's the kind of stuff that your client will now become their client if you're not doing the reach out and you're not making those kind of follow-up calls. Have you ever heard of the Steal a Client program in real estate?
No.
I probably shouldn't tell you. It's very questionable. Not really.
Yeah.
So there was
I don't think we're allowed to steal clients in real estate.
Okay. Steal a past client. Okay. You can steal past clients, just not active clients, right? So there's a realtor. This is a few years ago that I like to sit through real estate training as well. I like to hear what real estate agents are doing. And he said, this is my Steal a Client program. He said, and he started quoting off some statistics. He said, do you know how many agents don't follow up after closing? It was something like 80% or something.
Yeah,
it was like some crazy number. And he's like, they just don't follow up. So this is his justification. He's like, so we're doing the public a disservice by not keeping them aligned with professional real estate agents. He's like, so when I sell a house, I know that realtor's not going to follow up with this client. There's an 80% chance he's not going to. So I sold the house. My client, we went and bought a new house. I go knock on their door about 2 weeks after closing. I knock on the door with a gift. And I say, hey, Miss Smith, I'm Tim. I was actually the agent that helped represent the seller. And I just wanted to pop in. We take our business so serious, and we want to do the best we can for everybody. I want to see if you had any questions on anything. Is the house okay? Was it okay when you moved in? Sprinkler system working? And oh, by the way, I got this for you and your family. And this neighborhood's great. We actually do monthly stats in the neighborhood and everything. It's an amazing neighborhood. We absolutely love it. Well, if I can be of any assistance, you let me know, because this house, I don't know if you know, but the thing on the side over there, you got that all taken. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually just send you some neighborhood stats from time to time, if that's okay. And he's like, a vast majority of them are not followed up with their.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I know a lot of agents.
So I have done that.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Because
so,
I know they don't follow up.
And the thing is, if they're not following up, then who's going to call them? If you don't, me, I like that. Well, but if you don't, who's going to call them? And that's the way
somebody else.
That's the way we look at it. If we don't call and we don't do our follow up, what's going to happen? We call them telemortgagers. Some chop shop is going to call them and be like, "Hey, we got the lowest rate in the world." Okay, this sounds questionable. Do you also sell watches on the out of your trench coat? Like what is this? But if we're staying in front of them, then it all works out.
Yeah.
Right? It all works out. I have a couple more. We're about out of time, but I do have one or two more quick questions. I told you I was going to follow this. I don't think I asked any questions off of this. Did I? Yeah.
I'll just let your Marquise know next time. Just don't give false information. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Well, there are questions there in case I don't have questions.
Oh, I can't picture that being a problem, but I am going to tell you that I'm a little disappointed that you only made 20 to 30 calls last week.
Oh, well, no, 20 to 30 of past clients. I made way more calls than that, but 20 to 30 of past clients.
So how do you choose which clients you're calling?
Last week was very specific.
Okay.
So we went through and we pulled out all clients, and we took out the highest percentage people that needed to be
Gotcha.
contacted. So
Okay.
this wasn't.
'Cause you see numbers of like what their rates are, or whatever these things are.
This wasn't a birthday calls, quarterly follow-up call. It wasn't any of that.
Okay.
This
okay,
was
good. I'm glad you're doing.
This
your
was very
follow-up,
this was
right.
very, very specific to these clients in this loan type with this equity
would benefit
with this
them.
rate, and even if there was a chance that it would benefit them, right?
Okay.
And so I think we reviewed hundreds of them,
Good, okay.
but the actual communication. Wow, I feel like I'm on the stand here.
I just want to make sure you're doing your lead gen.
So you work a lot. What do you do when you're not? What do you do to get your mind off of work?
Oh, I don't usually get my mind off
If
work.
you wanted to get out of your house, what would you do?
We go camping and we travel a lot.
You go camping? Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you were camping, where would you go?
We go to Tarryall, we go to Wyoming, we go to Pueblo, John Martin.
There's no camping in Pueblo.
Okay, well, we stay in our camper and we get on a boat.
Okay, there you go. You go to the dock.
We're going up to like near Steamboat for Labor Day.
Oh, okay.
For 5 days. So it's nice just to get out of town. And
So you pull a fifth wheel. Mm-hmm. You rent a boat when you get there, or you
We have one.
So you dock it in Pueblo.
No, we drive it down there.
You're pulling a fifth wheel and a boat.
Sometimes.
Oh wow, you're like the UPS drivers where they have multiple.
I'm not. I drive separately. My husband does that.
You're like, okay, I'm gonna be.
I wait till he sets up and unloads the boat, and then I show up.
You're like, I will be there.
And then I leave
2.5
before he has to
hours.
put it all away. So.
Like,
And that's
oh,
not
boy.
a joke, because all of my friends, their wives are like, Kim has the luckiest gig going on because she never shows up till it's done, and she leaves before it's all
Look,
done.
Kim's got real estate to do. She's got she's a
right.
mover, a shaker. She's got stuff happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to help you
I
do that.
purposely book like 9 a.m. showings.
You're like, look, I really want to help go empty the tank.
Yeah.
A lot.
But I have to leave.
But yeah.
And
you
nobody
know.
wants me there anyway for that.
Yeah. Like, oh, this is disgusting. No. So you guys go camping.
We go camping.
Okay. And when you're camping, you fish, you motorcycle.
We
what
have
do you do?
side by sides.
Okay.
So we go do that. We go fishing. Not really my favorite thing because you can't talk, and I talk a lot. And
Like, so we're just sitting here? What are we doing?
I did go fishing like with my husband for the first time we were together, and I'm talking, and he doesn't talk very much anyways.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, we haven't caught anything, and he's like, you haven't stopped talking.
You're
And I'm
scaring
like,
the
well,
fish,
why would
Kim.
you bring me here then if you clearly know I don't shut up? I don't understand what we're doing.
So here's what
So
we're going
now
to do. I
really
got you a
just
chair, and I'm going to
for
go on the
fun
other
to
side
like
of the
just
lake.
throw this thing in and bring it out so everyone else is having a good time.
You guys enjoying yourself? This is cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they go early. They're like, let's fish before Kim gets here. So nobody's talking.
And she'll show up, and
And ruin all the fishing. But
Yep.
we go ride side by sides, which
Yeah.
is great. I can talk.
But nobody can hear you in a side by side if you're going fast.
I talk loud.
Okay. So you got help. Do you have a mic? Do you have like a
No, but I might get one now and make everybody
You're
in
like-
our side by
you're like,
side wear a
hold on a sec.
helmet.
I just
so we can have
realized-
a conversation.
I just realized that nobody can hear me.
My husband would literally kill me. He'd
Yeah.
be like, Jesus.
That's funny.
And my kids probably would too.
Be like, wow, this is I used to enjoy side by sides, Kim. This was fun, and then we got these
Yeah.
helmets, and I
Yeah, now we don't
I
enjoy
can't
it
focus.
anymore because you're still talking. I think now they probably just shake their head yes. They don't really hear me, which is
Like
fine.
a-
It makes me
like
feel
a-
better.
It's like a kid when they're just, hey, I need you to clean your room. Yep.
Yeah.
Did you say yep? Uh-huh. What did I ask you to do? Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, what did I ask you to do? What? Leave
I
me
don't
alone.
know.
Why are you hassling me, man? Come on. I said I'd do it. Well, I think I've learned a lot about Kim today.
Thanks.
I'm really excited that
Thanks
you were
for
able to be
having
here.
me.
Yeah, thanks for being part of the show. I think you provide a lot of good information for, especially when an agent is either struggling or new, and so what do I do, right?
Yeah.
Where do I go? Who do I connect with? What are my actions, right?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? And I think that's that's something that needs to be shared more.
Yeah.
To help the success rate of realtors, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't even mention the commission lawsuit one time.
Good,
I
thank
just
God.
did.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to either. Bleh. Anyway, thanks a
Call an
lot.
attorney.
That wraps that wraps up another episode of Cut to the Chase, AgentSuccessPodcast.com.
That wraps up another episode of Agent Success Podcast. Remember, you can find new episodes each week at AgentSuccessPodcast.com. We hope you found the insights and best practices shared today truly valuable, and if you did, Please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your success is a journey of learning and improvement. So let's keep hustling, thriving, and learning. Until next week, this is Tim Chase.